There you go.
Hi everybody, how you doing? Happy Friday! Oh yeah, it's Friday, which is excellent, isn't it? I like that. Although the weekends are just as busy for us. So, how's everybody doing? How's everyone coming online? Did you all watch yesterday doing Dave the Dash Hound? Hope you did. So he's very cute. I do like that pattern. It's a very, very cute little pattern and lots of uses as well, which is brilliant. So just a couple of little things before we get going. We're going to do some magic binding today. I got a rolly chair. Got Drew's rolly chair. Finally. And we've put a light on, another light on as well. Actually, we've got a little desk lamp as well thing that's try and light it up because it's very dark, this bit of my dining room that I'm working in. So just to let you know that Sian is going to be putting out a new newsletter today. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletters and you'd like to, you need to do so within the next sort of few minutes. And then she'll send it out. If not, you'll be on the next run. But if you go to our website, there is a bit on there. I think it's on the front page actually, where you can subscribe to our newsletter. And they go out every sort of 2 to 3 weeks. Shows you new products, what we're doing, what classes and stuff are coming up, so all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely worth signing up. If it's on our website, so you can have a little look there. So who's there today, groups? Who's there out?
We've got Jenny, we've got Sian, we've got Lisa, Marilyn, Linda, Nikki.
Fab. Lovely. Lots and lots of you coming on today, which is fab. We have been over the shop all morning. It was a very early start, hence the full face of makeup today, filming the demos for Hachanda, ready for Sunday's show. So they've all been sent off and they've received them, so that's one thing to tick off my list. So that's all done. So we're going to do magic binding today. So let me just put my tea out of the way. And I'm going to show you to the traditional. I'm just going to go through it again, the traditional way of binding, and then I'm going to show you magic binding. Okay, in case you're one of those people who really, really hate hand sewing, magic binding is a really nice little technique, and it means you can do it all on the machine. Okay, and it gives a nice finish as well. But I'm just going to briefly touch on normal binding again. So you can do normal binding all on the machine, absolutely. I know lovely Louise, who's a friend of mine, she does all of her binding on the machine and doesn't do magic binding, does it this way. She cuts 3-inch strips, which when you fold it over means that you've got a much bigger binding on the front, which is easier to handle on the machine. But if you want to do it by hand, you want to cut yourself 2.5-inch strips across the width of your fabric, or you could do scrappy binding, and do lots and lots. In fact, this quilt back here, I don't know if you can see, this has got a scrappy binding where I've just joined all the bits left over from the quilt and used that for my binding because it picks up all the colours that are in there. So, I don't know if you might just be able to see the fact that there's different colours in that binding. So it doesn't always have to be the same colour. You could absolutely do it scrappy and use up all the bits of your fabric, as long as they're 2.5 inches. And you're going to fold the fabric strip in half like that, okay, and iron it, okay, and iron it nice and well. The better you can get that crease, the easier it all goes on. So I'm just going to repress that one because it's been screwed up a little bit. So anybody there? Anybody got any questions?
We've got Wendy and Sandra saying hello.
Hi Wendy, hi Sandra.
And David says hello as well.
Hi Anne. I boxed up all your raffle prize today, Anne. So I've got it being because it's quite heavy. I've got to courier it. So I think that's going to be picked up on Monday. So that should be with you at the beginning of next week. So we are going to do another raffle as well. I'm going to get Alex to load a new set of cards in, probably to start on Monday. Okay. Right, so traditional binding. I'm going to do that first and then I'm going to do the magic binding. So you want to always start in the centre. Hopefully this new light is helping make this be a bit clearer for you guys. You always want to start roughly in the centre, not on a corner, okay, of any of the sides. It doesn't matter which side. And you're going to pop it on like that, okay, and leave yourself a bit of a tail, okay, because that's for when you join back in the other side. I'll just grab my pins a second. Now, I don't pin my binding. All I do is just pop a pin in at the beginning there, just to hold it in place before I start stitching. The reason I don't pin, and you can pin if you want to, but I find because, you know, everything's, you've got fabric on top of wadding, everything moves a bit as you're stitching. And I find if I pin it all down, then sometimes you can get to a bit and it's pinned here, and you get these funny bobbles. Can you see their groups? Is that, so you stitch down, because it's pinned, you end up with little creases and bobbles. So I tend to just pin the very beginning and line it up as I'm going down like that, and adjust it as I go. Okay, so we're going to stitch this down 1/4 inch. So we're going to whip over to the sewing machine, rolly chair, see if this works. It's not too bad. And you're going to stitch down. Let me just move my cup of tea. Sorry, girls. It's getting in the way. And you're going to stitch down 1/4 inch. Now, Drew, you might need to come closely for this in a moment, because I'm going to show you how to do the mitered corner. Now, if you saw Sarah on her Chanda back in January, which is ages ago now, she was very, very proud of herself, the fact that she got a perfect mitered corner, because they kind of threw it at her at the last moment, and she did it first time, which was brilliant. So I'm just stitching 1/4 inch. Now I've moved, you can put your 1/4 inch foot on, but I've moved my machine over, moved the needle over, so I know that's 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm going to stitch all the way down like that. Okay, until I get about 1/4 inch away from the edge, and I can feel where the edge of the wadding is, because it's slightly thicker. And very often your foot will have a little 1/4 inch mark on it. Okay, and then I'm going to leave the needle in. I've lifted the foot and I'm turning the whole thing so that the needle is going to come off the point of the corner. Okay, so I'm going to stitch off the points like that, and I'm going to break my thread. So I don't know, hopefully you can see this. So I've come all the way down like that. I've stopped and come off. So I've got a little line of stitch in there. The reason we do that is because it gives the fabric something to fold against. If you just stop and backstitch rather than come off, your fabric's got nothing to stop it moving. And I find that by giving those few little stitches like that, it gives the fabric something to fold back against, and you get a perfect miter almost every time. So I'm going to fold it back like that at a right angle against that stitch line. Okay, so you can see it's a nice right angle there, and I've got a 45-degree angle like that. And then I'm going to fold it back on itself like that. Okay, so you end up with this little flap of fabric like this. Okay, we're then going to start stitching along here and go down. Okay, now I would back stitch just a little bit there. Okay, you can pop a pin or a clip there if you want to, but I'm going to stitch just a couple of stitches and then just back stitch again, just to make sure that that fabric's got something to hold and move against. Okay, and then come down then 1/4 inch. Now I'm not going to go around the whole thing because I have done a tutorial on this before, but I thought while we're talking about binding, it's worth just doing it again for those people. So I'm going to scoot back over here so you can see this in the light, hopefully. Okay, so you can see, so I stitched and went off, and then I've started here, back stitched and come along, and you would work all your way around. Okay, so when you open it out like that and push this to the back, you get, let me just do that so you can see, you get that lovely mitered corner, okay, on your binding, and on the back it miters perfectly on the back as well. Okay, so that's like traditional binding. Okay, now I'm going to show you magic binding. So magic binding is very slightly different. Actually, let me pop that on that side. Very slightly different in the fact that you need 2 colours for your binding. Okay, or you could do scrappy again if you wanted to. But what it does, it makes a little tiny like faux piping. There's like a little flange, and I know a lot of you hate that word. Always gets a giggle in classes. There's a little tiny like faux piping to it. Okay, so you need 2 sizes of fabric. You need the one that's going to make the faux piping needs to be wider than your actual binding. So the one that's going to be the faux bit, you need 1 3/4 inches of. And one that's going to be your normal binding, you need 1 1/2 inches of. Okay, and we're going to put them right sides together. Now I've used solids here, and we've chosen really contrasting fabrics, so hopefully you'll be able to see it. You can see the blue and the pink shows up, hopefully shows up nicely. I'm going to put them right sides together, and I'm going to stitch all the way down the length. Now I've only done, I'm going to show you on an actual quilt in a minute, actually attaching it, but you would make these, you would join these to make them as long as you need them for around the quilt before you do this point, okay? So I'm going to stitch all the way down. And while I'm stitching, Drew, what's going on? Who's talking? Who's out there?
Jenny and Linda said, great camera work, Drew.
Aww. You're going to give him a right big head, though, you lot praising him all the time. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down, okay? So, anybody else there? Anybody else commenting?
Suzanne has joined us as well.
Hi, Suzanne.
That's about it.
Cool. So there is a really, I mean, I'll put this tutorial onto our YouTube channel, but this was, I think this is originally a tutorial that's called Susie's Magic Binding. It's an American lady who I think came up with it, and it's like hers originally, and I'm just following her instructions because it works perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to sew all the way down. Sorry, this is a bit boring, isn't it? It's a bit laborious, this bit, and it does take a little bit more time maybe than normal binding, but it does work really nicely. It does give a lovely edge.
Jenny says credit where credit is due.
Credit where credit due means that you're doing a good job, so they should give you praise.
And then Anne Davis says, what brother machine are you using?
This is the FS210. I got it off Crate and Craft a few years ago, actually, about 3 years ago, but they do have them all the time on Crate and Craft. And I have to say, I love brother machines, absolutely love them, can't fault them. And this little one is absolute workhorse. I think I got it when it was on one of their half price deals. It should have been like 700 quid, but it was 300. But it's a brilliant little machine. Love it, absolutely love it. Yeah, it's the FS210. They think they do an FS110 as well, and it's exactly the same machine. It's just the amount of stitches it's got on. This one I think it's got like the lettering on it. Not that I've really used it much, to be honest. Use straight stitch and zigzag. That's about it really. Blanket stitch occasionally. So once you've stitched all the way down the length and joined the two pieces, you need to iron it out. Okay, I'm just going to flip this out to give myself a slightly bigger surface. And you want to iron it, because we're eventually going to do that. So you want to iron it towards the smaller piece. So this is the pink is the piping bit, and that was the bigger bit, the 1 3/4, and the blue will be the actual binding, and that was the 1 1/2. So I want to iron it towards the blue. Okay, so I'm going to iron it like that, and this would be a lot easier on an actual ironing board with a full iron. In fact, I don't actually need to do a whole amount. I'm just going to chop this off so that I can just show you. Okay, so you would iron the whole thing out, and you would iron it towards the narrower binding. Okay, narrower fabric. Sorry. There we go. Okay, like that. So you can see it's going towards the narrow one. You then want to iron it in half. So I'm going to pull this one up to meet the raw edges, and I'm going to iron it in half all the way. Okay, like that, and pull that up to meet the edge like that. Just give that a nice press, and you can see that when I turn that over, hopefully you can see this, you get this lift, because the pink was slightly bigger than the blue, you get this lovely little narrow piped edge. Can you see that, guys? Okay, now for the moment you're going to treat this like normal binding. Okay, the only difference is you're going to attach it to the back of your quilt. So I'm going to move the iron out of the way, because I've got a quilt here which is one of the charity quilts the Guild started. So I'm going to put this on the floor out of the way because I need the table space. So excuse me a second, ladies. I've got to do this carefully because of my silly back. There we go. Let me just tuck that out of the way. One head, actually, because I don't want to burn the house down. And I really do need the whole table space for this. I'm going to grab this quilt. Okay. And I've already attached it round several sides so that you guys can see. And I'm just going to show you the last two corners. Okay. Right. It is... I tried to find a quilt block to do, and I just didn't have any quilted up blocks, so I thought, well, I might as well not waste it, and we'll do it on one of these, okay? So I'm attaching this binding to the back of the quilt, okay? Because normally you attach it to the front and flip it over, but you're going to do the opposite this time, okay? So I've just got to the corner, and hopefully you can see this here. So I've sewn it all the way along like that, and I've gone off at a 45-degree angle, like this. So I'm going to do my fold again. So I'm going to go back like that, fold it back on itself, like that. And I would pop a pin, if I've got one. Oh, is Dave. There we go. Pop a pin in there to hold that in place, like that. And then I'm going to stitch all the way down there till I get to the last corner. And then I'm going to show you how to join it on this one, okay? So, back over I go. And please do talk to me while I do this, okay? Because I've got to get down all the one side of a quilt. I tried to choose the smallest quilts I could find there to do this on, but they were all quite hefty. So, so I'm going to just speedy down this and talk to me, ladies, while you're doing it. Okay. So, any comments there, Drew? What's going on?
Jenny says, totally agree, love my brother machine. And Sarah said, would always choose a brother myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if money was no object, I would have a Benina. I absolutely love the Beninas. I love all the feet that they've got, and the stitching is just exquisite. But they're very expensive. And you know, it's a proper considered purchase. I mean, some of them you could buy a car for what you could get. But I have to say, this little brother machine that I've had now for a few years, I can't falter. She works like an absolute trooper. She's really good. Any other questions? Any other comments there?
Sandra says, is your back better?
It's on the mend, thank you. I think I must have had like a trapped nerve or a bit sciatica or something. But it's still... I'm not in constant pain at the moment, which is good. It just hurts if I bend down too quickly, or couldn't get up off my knees in the shop yesterday. I got down to get a bolt of fabric off the bottom shelf. Couldn't get back up. It was ridiculous. Had to do one of those awful weeble rolly things to try and get back up. So, but it's getting better, thank you. It is.
Kate said, I've just unpacked my new sewing machine, studying the manual.
Oh, Eileen. So Kate's actually Eileen. I think it's her daughter's account that she uses. That's why it comes up as Kate. Kate is Eileen. And yeah, she was telling us yesterday, or was it the day before? I can't remember now, that you were getting a new machine. That's very exciting. I'm very jealous. I still really, as much as I love this little one, I do want a new, I want a new big machine. Because my Singer is still sulking in the corner over there, tucked away, because she's not playing games at all at the minute. She don't want to play. I need to get her to our sewing machine guy. So come to the last corner, and then I'm gonna do my little mitered corner, and then you can see I've just got this little bit to do, and I'm going to show you how to join it here. So I know this is a lot of quilt, ladies, and hopefully it's not, you can see what's going on, but I just thought rather than waste the binding, I might as well. Ooh,
Dave.
yeah, I want a Dave. There we go. I want a pin from a dash hound. There we go. I want to show you how to do it on an actual quilt. Okay. So, I'm going to just come down this last little bit here, like that. There we go. Any other comments there? Anybody there? What are you all up to? Tell me what you're doing, guys. Who's working on what?
When he says, love the look of that of this binding.
Yeah, it's a really nice. You'll see now when I turn it over, you'll be able to see how this works.
Suzanne said, I tried this on my dragonfly quilt.
Ah, cool. Yeah, it is a nice technique, this one. Yeah, it's and it gives it just a little bit more interest as well. And if, like you say, if you've got to put binding on quickly, and you don't want to have to sit and do all the slip stitching on the back, this is a brilliant way of doing it.
Kate says, I feel like I need a degree to understand. Eileen, I should say.
Oh, honey. You can't hurt them. Remember that. You can't really hurt a sewing machine. Just have a play. Just thread it up and get a bobbin on, and then just go through the stitches. Get yourself a piece of fabric and just go through the stitches and see what they all do.
Sarah Jane says, everyone needs a Dave, but you can't have mine.
I've got a dash hound, Dave. Okay, so I've left about, 4 or 5 inch gap, and I'm just going to back stitch a little bit. Okay, just to secure that, just while we join it. I'm going to show you how I do my joining. Again, there's lots and lots of different ways of doing it. I need my scissors. There's some scissors. There we go, got some. It's alright, half my equipment is over at the shop still because we've been filming this morning, so it was a bit of a, oh, what do I need? I've left half of it over there. So, this is where I started, okay? So I'm going to get the tail end out of the way. Now, I want to cut this off about there, okay? What's that? About a thumb's length long. And I'm going to turn this over like that to enclose that raw edge. Okay, like that. Now, I joined my binding straight rather than on the diagonal. So I'm going to keep this as a straight join, the end bit. If you joined it on the diagonal, you turn this over like that, and then you would fold that in, okay, so that you've got a diagonal here, all right? But I didn't, I joined mine straight, so I don't need to do that. I'm just going to turn those raw edges in and finger press. See, I could have probably done with the iron again, but I'm not going to get it back out from under the table. Like that, okay? I then want to bring the end here down, and I want to chop it off so it just, overlaps by about 1.5 inches, okay? So, like that. And I'm going to tuck that inside that one there, like that. Okay. Now, I'm just going to go on a little tangent a second. I'm using the Moda Bella solids for this, and I have to say they feel amazing. For normally, they don't take maybe as much care with solids generally. You know, you don't find that the solid fabrics are quite as nice as some of the more expensive ones. But these are amazing. They feel really tactile. They've got a really lovely shine and finish to them. So these are all on the website now as well. It's $7.95 a metre. So if you do need any solids, it's worth checking out the Bella solids. It's the first time I've used them, and I'm really impressed with them. So I've tucked that inside like that.
Mum, we've only got 10% battery left.
Oh, okay. Ooh, oh, that's because of all the filming this morning. Right, I'm going to hurry this up a weeny bit, okay? If it suddenly goes, it's because my battery's gone. So sorry. We've done so much filming today. And I'm going to start stitching here, and I'm going to come all the way down to here, okay? So, any more comments there while I'm doing that, lovely?
Sarah says she likes your scissors.
You and your scissors, you're not having them, they're mine. Sarah has got a complete scissor fetish. You can't believe how many pairs of scissors that woman's got. Oh, what's it getting
Jenny
called?
said, this is the part I hate the most. I can never figure how I get it to fit.
Oh, just go slow and steady, Jen. Just go slow and steady, like that. Don't rush it. Okay.
Linda says, it's not like you to machine stitch, so nice to see this method.
I know. I don't often machine stitch, do I? Right, so I've gone all the way round. Okay, I'm going to take those pins out. Now, normally I would press this out, but I would need to take this to an ironing board and press this out. But you're going to press that out nice and flat, like that, okay? And then you're going to roll it to the front, like that. Okay, I'm going to grab some clips, actually, so I can show you this. Oh, I love these little binding clips, they're fab. If I clip this on like this, okay, can you see as I roll it forward, you've got that little sort of faux piping, that little flange. Now you have to get rid of some of my threads. Okay, as I roll it, so I've ironed that out flat and then rolled it over. Sorry, Drew, I'm making this difficult for you today, aren't I? It's because it's such a big piece that we're working on. Like this, and I would pin this in all the way down, or clip it in, whichever you like. There we go, and again, like that. And can you see, ladies, how you've got like that double colour on the binding? Okay. Now, I'm not going to do it now because of my battery. However, all you're going to do now is you're going to stitch in the ditch all the way down here. So you're going to put your needle into this point here and sew all the way down, and that would then stitch, it will obviously stitch through to the back, but that will finish your binding. Now I would match my cotton to this colour, okay? I know that sounds odd, but when you're stitching in the ditch, you're more, I'm going to use a pin because it'll be a bit easier. When you're stitching the ditch, it's very easy to come up and over this, okay? So rather than having pink thread, I find that if I go with a blue thread, if it does come slightly over, it's much less noticeable than if you had it in pink, okay? So if you do go a bit wonky, you don't see it as much. And all you're going to do, how much battery left have I got left, huh?
8.
Oh, I'm okay. I've got time to do this. It's not going to go that quickly. I'm going to try and do this. Now, I'm going to do it in cream, obviously, because that's just what's on my machine. But I would have done this. I would normally do this in blue, okay? So you're going to pop your needle right into, and if you've got a stitch in the ditch foot, that works perfectly for this, okay? But if you haven't, you can still do this. And you're going to just stitch in very carefully, and I go sort of slow and steady. Oh, actually, I've got that on a really big stitch. Let me go down a little bit. Down like that. And I'm watching where the needle is, and as it's going into the ditch between the two fabrics. Okay, and all the way down. But I found that when I've done this, if I match my cotton to my top fabric, you can get away with a few more little mishaps. Okay, all the way down. Okay, I'm not going to do all the way along, obviously. I'll just do a little bit just so you can see what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, and you can see that I'm going quite slowly. I'm just concentrating on keeping that needle right between those two fabrics. All the way down. There we go. Okay, that's probably far enough just to show you guys. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here into the light so hopefully you can see. Oh, let me just get that thread out of the way. And can you see that I've stitched all the way down there, so you end up with it all piped, but you end up with this little faux piping, which is a really nice finish. You see you've got this little faux piping like this. You do get a line of stitching here, but I don't think that matters too much because it just looks like quilting. Okay, so that, and you would just go all the way around. When you get to a corner, let me just show you a corner very quickly, obviously, and this works better when you've ironed it. Okay, you get to a corner like that. It works much better when you just mitre it just like you would normally. So you're going to push this one over. In fact, if I pop a clip there, 'cause it sits better when once it's been ironed flat. Okay, push this one out like that. Oh, sorry guys, my fingers and thumbs are in the way. It's because it hasn't been ironed. It does that onto the
One.
hang on, I'm gonna have to do it towards me. It's because I'm trying to do it towards you guys. If I do it towards me and then turn it round, there we go. Trying to do it backwards, and it doesn't always work. I'm not as ambidextrous as I like to think I am. Okay, so there we go, Drew. I'm gonna push that out like that, and then when I fold this one over like that, and obviously that would be less puffy once it's been ironed. It's only because it's not been ironed. Like that. Okay, can you see that corner? And you would just stitch along here. Let me grab a pin because it's easier. You'd stitch along here like this. You'd put your needle in and then come on and pivot and then come along there. Okay, and you get a nice neat mitre on the back as well. So, any questions, ladies, before my battery vanishes? Anybody got anything they'd like me to go through again with that? Sorry about the massive quilt today.
Then it says, what does that foot look like? I'll have to do a research.
Yeah, so it's got, it almost looks like a quarter of an inch, but the blade bit is sort of, in fact, actually, if Kath Lem, if you're on, I don't know if you are today, I know you've got a Stitch in the Ditch foot, and I think Jackie Bloxham has as well. If you could post a picture of it onto the Facebook page, then maybe people can see what it is. So, yeah, it looks like a quarter of an inch, but the blade's kind of in the middle. So the blade sort of would sit right against there, and it kind of pushes that fabric over so that when you're stitching you can get right into the ditch. If you Google Stitch in the Ditch foot for a brother machine, you'll be able to find one, but you can do it without. You could see then I did that without, and you don't need one, it's just they're handy.
Shan said you made it very clear.
Good.
Jenny says she has one as well.
Ah, cool, brilliant. Yeah. Well, Jen, if you've got a Stitch in the Ditch foot, maybe you could put a picture if you're on.
Anne Davis says, I'd like that edging, thanks.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I think it gives a really nice little finish to it. It's slightly different, and it means you haven't got a hand sew if you don't like hand sewing. Bizarrely, for somebody who doesn't do a lot of hand sewing, it's the bit I like about doing the final finishing. It's that sitting, and it's quite quiet, and I quite like that hand stitching bit. But this is super quick actually compared to hand stitching.
Yeah, but no, that's about it.
Cool. Fabulous. Right, well, I got lots and lots to get on with, so I won't be back tomorrow. Sarah's back tomorrow. She's going to give you a bit of a tour of Daphne and some bits in the shop, because we've got the Zoom masterclass happening tomorrow. So I'm going to be here on my laptop teaching, and Sarah's going to be in the shop, and she's going to show you Daphne, how Daphne works, and we've got some lovely new products as well. So she's going to show you through those. And then I will be back on Monday. There'll be a new announcement going out on, I would imagine, sometime today or tomorrow morning, ready for Monday's classes. Monday, Tuesday, yeah, we've got full week of classes next week. Don't forget we're on Hochanda on Sunday at 11 a.m. If you want me to listen to me waffle on even more, we're going to be on there. And yeah, I will see you next week, guys. Yeah, tune in to Sarah tomorrow for some more sorts of bits. Bye.